Hello folks, welcome back to my channel. Kojiro from Gaming in Japan here, and there are a couple of hours until the early phase release of MK1, and I want to make a video in which I'm going to talk not about something that is specific to the gameplay, but I want to talk about the casual appeal that MK still seems to have among other fighting games, and it's not even close that MK is still at the top, still with the environment with Street Fighter 6 being released relatively recently, and with the upcoming Tekken 8 coming next year. Uh, I I think most people consider Street Fighter 6, MK, and Tekken to be the big three fighting games. But I really believe that among fighting games and fighting game fans, really MK still up to this day has the biggest casual appeal. So I'm going to explain to you from a slightly different position, enough for you to understand that. I just want to make the disclaimer that I work in the video game industry. The Pretty much the only thing that I haven't done is things related to video game development. What I have done for the past couple of years is try to connect video game publishers to video game communities and content creators in the region of Eastern Europe. Okay, so the thing for Eastern Europe and a lot of other parts of the world, but let's just focus on that in this conversation. Twitter is not really a big thing. I refuse to call Twitter X, by the way, just for reference. Um, Facebook is the king here. Still, it's going down a little bit compared to like TikTok and whatever, but it's Facebook. It's still big and still the biggest when it comes to discussions about video games and social media, in which you have like these general groups about gamers from a certain country, PlayStation gamers from a certain country, or PC games for a certain country. There are these big Facebook groups with several tens of thousands of people, right? And when it comes to fighting game posts in groups like that, the posts are done for Street Fighter, Tekken, and all of the other like Grand Blue and DNF and uh, Persona and Ultimax or KF. They are done either by me or some other member of the fighting game community. We have a separate fighting game community here. It's very small, but it's still like uh, relatively active, all things considered. But there is a very different scale and noticeable difference in the way people interact, casual gamers interact with news about fighting games. So for Street Fighter, if I post the trailer for Aki, excuse me, and say, hey, look, this is a cool new character in the Street Fighter that is gonna come up at the end of September. People are gonna say, okay, it's nice, it looks cool. I've played Street Fighter here and there. I have the game, but I haven't played that much. Or I like Street Fighter, but I'm gonna wait for Mortal Kombat. When it comes to Tekken, it's a little bit more positive. People say, yeah, I'm gonna wait for the game, I'm gonna play the game. This character looks cool from the trailer, and that character looks also cool, but I'm also gonna play more combat until the can comes in. So the attitude of the casual gamers is neutral to slightly positive, you may quantify like that. Uh, However, when it comes to Mortal Kombat, the situation is totally different in terms of I don't even need to make posts about things like this, guys. Like casual gamers naturally and organically follow news about Mortal Kombat, and they make the posts about trailers, about like new things that have been released on their own. Meaning they're so engaged and so interested in the game that they don't even need to be pushed, right? I'm not going to bother you here with terms like evangelists or opinion leaders and how this whole dynamic work. Um, but when it comes to other fighting games, I'm usually the general opinion leader. I start the conversation, I lead the conversation in all of the phases, and I try to inject, so to speak, information about different from the mainstream games, mainly Japanese games, fighting games like Souls games and arena fighting games and like JRPGs and stuff like that into the general conversation about like titles like Starfield or Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. So um, I have a good sense about how people interact with different news about different video games, and I'm here to report to you that things haven't changed ever since. Let's not make it complicated. Just go back to MKX. All of the Mortal Kombat games since MKX have been popular among casual gamers way more than any of the other titles, and it's not even close. Like, it's like the organic engagement is still there. People are still most interested in Mortal Kombat, and none of the conversations and info about the new more simplistic fighting games like Grand Blue Versus or DNF Duo have been able to penetrate. Granted, that might only be a thing for the region that I am in, but Mortal Kombat is still the king, and I'm going to tell you here something else that is probably lost in a lot of the conversations elsewhere. Um, Physical retailers, guys, are still going and are still strong. Yes, the consumption of digital games and the the purchase of video games are increasing year by year, but physical retailers are still very strong. And I can tell you for a fact that physical retailers love Mortal Kombat. In this line, by the way, I think that the early leaks that of the physical copies of the game or whatever was the leaks were caused specifically by connection to physical retailers. I can make another video entire about that in which I can explain to you how the connection between video game publishers and physical retailers work, how the whole process of acquiring a video game from a publisher work if you're a retailer. If you're interested, let me know down in the comment section below. But I can give you the example that at the time of MKX, there are certain periods of time in which one of the big retailer chain stores in here said to me in confidence that for a certain period of time, MK was selling more than freaking GTA. Okay, that is never gonna happen for Street Fighter or for Tekken or for any of the other games. So just like the name recognition, the nostalgia, the general public sense that they can just pick up the game and play the story mode or do fatalities or whatever is still going very strong. And although Street Fighter 6 had a fantastic launch, way better than the Street Fighter 5 launch in 2016 of I think it was March, very very bad. Like even Street Fighter seems like James Chen had a hard time defending that. I think he said something hilarious in the lines of, if Street Fighter, we shouldn't hate on Street Fighter 5 at the launch period, because if Street Fighter fails, all of the fighting game community is gonna fail, or some BS like that was hilarious. But Street Fighter 6 launch and momentum was way better, and it still cannot touch MK, guys. That's it. Like, I don't know what else needs to happen. There is an entirely different conversation of why and how the burn through rate of the competitive nature of MK seems to fizzle out faster than Street Fighter and Tekken. That's a separate conversation. But for casual gamers, MK is still the king. And all of the markings of future successful video games, video game for MK are there in spades. Like, and I don't know how this can be changed in the future. I think all of the other fighting games are getting better and like are sold more and have garnered more interest, but MK still cannot be touched. The only way things can change is if in some future year, when a new Street Fighter is released or a new fight game is released, then NRS releases a kind of like a new Injustice game or something like that. In that case, it might be more even, but for MK, it's not even close, guys. That's it for this video. I'm going to play a lot of MK1. I'm going to make a lot of videos, primarily for the outdoor characters. I think outdoor characters in this game are very well represented from the get-go. For example, Sindo and Milena are in the starting roster of the game, which is fantastic. So yeah, I'm gonna make videos for that. But for this video, this is all I wanted to say. Tell me what you think about this topic and the casual appeal of MK1 among normal gamers. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.